Hello and welcome to the second in my series of Lessons in Awakening. And this second video is about emotions, the importance of emotions and the role of the emotions. So let's have a look first at emotions. Everything is energy, including our emotions. So emotions are just a consciousness, okay? And they vibrate at a certain frequency. So love vibrates at a higher frequency than fear, for example. But the energy of the emotion, like all energy, it wants to move in cycles. Okay, this is really important to understand that energy likes to move in cycles. You know, like change is the only constant and all that. So the emotion comes in, we are energy, it just flows in with our emotion, our energy, and we feel it. We feel that emotion. Okay, now what we do with that is up to us, and that's going to be for a later video in how to master your emotions and master your thoughts. But for now, let's focus on the fact that that energy has come in. Let's say it's sadness or anger, for example, or anxiety. Okay, and it's coming, we're feeling it. Because we don't like the feeling, okay, we basically shut it down. Okay, it's like having a stream of water coming and you don't like it, so you block it, okay, and make some kind of a dam. But the trouble is, when water flows, when you stop it, it goes stagnant. And in stagnant water, all sorts of things, unpleasant things, can start evolving and growing in that stagnant water. It's the same with our energy. So the emotion comes in, we don't like it. So lots of reasons why we trap emotions. Okay, there's lots of reasons why we trap emotions. Very often it's because if it's anger, for example, you know, we tell children that it's wrong to be angry, which is silly. Having healthy outlets for anger is obviously a positive thing. But also crying. Crying is the body's innate mechanism to process an emotion. But in some cultures, you know, we've been told that it's wrong to cry, it's weak to cry, you know, big girls don't cry and all of this kind of stuff. It's a sign of weakness, whereas even, and I like to use this view as well, even at a funeral, you know, people are like, you have to have dignity and, you know, maybe a little dab of tear. But, you know, if you're suffering from grief, the last thing you care about is your dignity. You just want to ride that wave of grief, throw yourself on the floor. And if you have a look at any videos of like Middle Eastern funerals and things like that, you'll see the mums behind the coffin just throwing themselves on the floor and wailing, you know. This is them flowing with the energy of the grief, and they're processing it, which is the most important thing with emotions. It's processing it. But in some cultures, we're not encouraged to process our emotions. Also, we will just choose to block it because we don't like the feeling. Okay, so we will distract ourselves. But what happens is that the energy, the emotion is never, it can't go away. It's not going to go away by suppressing it. You know, you have to feel it and feel into the intensity in order for it to process and flow out of your energy field. Okay, so we suppress a lot of emotions because we think it's a weakness to show them, or we don't like the feeling of them, or we've been told not to cry, or we've been told not to express them, or whatever. There's numerous reasons. So we actually suppress those emotions, but they're still alive within us. Now, the same happens with positive emotions, of course, you know, and we can tap into those and fill ourselves with joy at the memories of you know, our kids' birth and happy memories that we had. But it's these trapped negative emotions vibrating at a low frequency that actually are the underlying cause of malfunction, disease, and illness in the body. And the biggest cause of imbalance, because being energy, we want to stay in harmony, energetic harmony. And that harmony is imbalanced by trapped emotions. Now, trapped emotions can be in all parts of the body. Okay, that's another subject as well, which I'll cover when I look more deeply into the emotion code. But for now, the emotion has come in for whatever reason, you haven't processed it, so you've just buried it. Now, it was Sigmund Freud said that, that unexpressed emotions never die. They just get buried and will come back in uglier ways. And I love that quote because it's so true. You can suppress it and bury it for as long as you like, but it will come back in uglier ways, okay? And that's what's happening a lot with the Great Awakening, is these emotions that we have pushed down for so long are coming up, okay? Because there is so much light coming in, okay, from source, from the higher realms. You've only got to look at the Schumann resonance scale to see all the peaks going on and the consciousness level of humanity rising. So this light coming in, I like to think of it as a bucket of water. So you've got a bucket of dirty water. It's like we are dirty water, but generally speaking. And you're pouring pure, healing, white, golden light into it. So pure water into this bucket of dirty water until it overflows, and you keep on pouring it, and as you're pouring it, the dirty water comes out. So the more pure, clean water you pour in, the more dirty water comes out. And that's basically what's happening in the Great Awakening, is this high frequency light is coming in. We are light beings, we are energy beings, and we have the opportunity to fill up with more light, which will expand our level of consciousness. But as that light comes in, obviously that lower frequency doesn't resonate anymore, and that's what's coming up. That's why I'm calling it the Great Healing. That's why so many people are having emotional roller coasters, because we're high on the high frequency light coming in, but then we feel these emotions that are getting pushed out of us. These are old emotions. They could be from this lifetime. They could be from other lifetimes. They could be inherited. They could be ancestral, cultural, collective. You know, we're healing the whole shebang at the moment. So when those emotions shift, we feel them. And we don't want to suppress them again. They're shifting because we're raising our frequency. So when you understand that, you can express love and gratitude for it. So when you're feeling a little bit sad, lonely, anxiety, whatever the negative emotion is, the fear, you know, understand that it's coming up for acknowledgement, understanding, and processing, so that you can process it out of you. And when you understand that bigger picture, that love and gratitude that you can put in really shows how you can transmute these lower frequency emotions into love and gratitude. So these emotions can then leave your body, leave your energy. And this is one of the things that we do with energy healing, of course, is especially with the emotion code, which I'm a big fan of. We can literally release those lower frequency emotions that you have spent your lifetime pushing down. Okay, and they're coming up now for acknowledgement, which is great because you just acknowledge them, and then you can use the emotion code or whatever other emotional healing modality to release them. So it's all good. Now I want to share this chart on the emotions. It's the scale of consciousness. So I hope you can see that. Now on this chart, you can see a whole list of emotions, I guess, and the number shows the frequency, okay, that they're calibrating at. So we can see that guilt and shame are the lowest frequency emotions. They really are. Apathy, it's like depression, you know, when you don't feel like doing anything. Grief, obviously, is quite a low vibrating one. Fear is there at 100. You can see that quite clearly. Desire. The thing about desire, I mean, it's good to have desires, but when you have desires, you're kind of in a state of wanting. And when you're in a state of wanting, you're in a state of lack. So that's why it's low, because you are acknowledging your lack, and that creates more lack. That's why it's contracted. It's still in the contracted stage of this chart. Everything is energy, we know that. So therefore, everything can be measured on a level of consciousness. And these emotions that are measured on this scale of consciousness. So you come up to anger, okay, and then pride, okay, courage, neutrality. Now, when you get to this courage and neutrality, you'll see that we flip from a contracted state of suffering into an expanded state of flow. Now, the universe is always expanding, and we are expanding with it. That's why we say expand your level of consciousness, because we are expanding into more of who we really are. Okay, because we have been in this contracted state. And this also, is to do with the heart, expanding the heart, when you can feel the heart expanding, or is your heart contracting? Okay, so you can take a look at my sway testing video, because that is the first port of call for tuning in to whether your heart is expanding, which means whatever you're thinking, doing, saying, being is good for you, or whether your heart is contracting, which is your higher self telling you that whatever you're thinking, doing, saying, feeling, being is not good for you. Okay. Now you come into willingness. I have written, I'll put it in the description below, I've written a blog on the power of willingness, because the power of willingness, just being willing to change, willing to learn, willing to heal, whatever, this willingness, if saying the affirmation, I love and accept myself, gets stuck in your throat because you don't feel like you do love and accept yourself yet, then you can use willingness. Willing. I am willing to love and accept myself. And you would not be watching this video if you were not willing, at least willing to love and accept yourself. So there is such a power to the energy of willingness. You can see that it is the doorway to the expansion. It's the doorway to acceptance, reason, and love. It's the doorway to that flow and that high level of consciousness, the Christ consciousness, the unity consciousness. Okay, so as you go up this chart, everything can be measured on this chart, even you, okay, with your overriding emotion. Now, obviously, you could be vibrating at a high level and still experience some fear or still experience some anger or grief. But where you would be on this chart is completely dependent on your overriding emotion. Which emotion is your default setting? Which emotion is the one that is your most dominant one? Okay. Now, we really want to move from fear into love. Everything is energy and everything vibrates at a certain level on here. So you could have beliefs that are based in fear, and they would be resonating at the level of fear. So people living in fear will have beliefs that resonate with that fear. So there'll be fear-based beliefs. The universe is a dangerous place. I'm not good enough. And I'm a victim to my circumstances. They're very fear-orientated beliefs that are vibrating at that level. As you move up the chart, willingness, there is a lot of optimism and hope and gratitude, and all these energies come into play. This is the role of gratitude and things like that. Might be a good point to mention my first book, Heal Yourself to Happiness, is free to download from my website at deborahjanesutton.com. And the second chapter is all about the power of gratitude. Okay, so it really is a door, it's a doorway. Affirmations, gratitude, willingness, these are the doorways into this expanded state of being. And as you go up this chart, you've got acceptance, which is also in line with forgiveness. Of course, forgiveness is a massive spiritual lesson, I would call it, until you get to love and then joy. And then you've got peace and enlightenment. So what's happening in the world today, you'll see that a lot of people were in fear, okay? A lot of people are still in fear. And then it starts moving as you start going up the chart to anger. Now, people often say to me, why is anger, they think anger is quite high up this chart. They think anger should be lower. But the thing about anger is that angry people, they are seeking change. They have identified and acknowledged that change is needed, whereas somebody in apathy, for example, just doesn't care and have lost all caring. Angry people care. I mean, they want change, and the trouble with angry people is that they are seeking change in others. They are looking for the change that they want from others, from people outside of them. They think that other people need to change. Whereas we know that if you want to change something on the outside of you, you change it on the inside of you. But at level anger, you know, they are looking for change and they're passionate, I guess, but they are looking for the change in others rather than within themselves. When you get to willingness and acceptance, then that's when you understand the change happens within you, and that emotions play a massively positive role in that, because they are our wake-up call. They really are our positive emotions and our negative emotions. The negative emotions are there to really help us identify what areas we need to work on, what areas we need to process, what emotions we need to process. So if you want to work your way up this chart, it's all about raising your frequency, raising your vibration. Again, book number 1 is all about raising your vibration, and it's free to download, as I said, from my website at deborahjanesutton.com. So please check that out to raise your vibration. So there's the chart of, that's the scale of consciousness with the emotions and the frequency of the emotions. So think about which one is your dominant emotion and the one that you feel more often than not, so that you can see where you are on this chart. And that will also help you that if you are suffering in any way, you know that you've come down into a contracted state of being. So where can you open up? What affirmations can you repeat to get yourself expanded back into the higher part of this chart? So I hope that helps a little bit with understanding emotions and the role that they play. Your emotional state is that one thing I need to say, it's really important, is that whatever frequency you are, we don't attract what we want in life, we attract what we are. So whatever frequency you are vibrating at is the frequency that you are creating in your holographic projection that you're calling life. So whatever you're creating it from the frequency that you are. So if you're full of fear, you will be creating a fearful life. And if you're full of willingness, you'll find that everything is suddenly very willing around you. And if you're full of love, you will find that you are creating a reality of love. It goes on your frequency. So if you want to change anything on the outside of you, it starts by raising your frequency and releasing those low density emotions. Again, that's what we would use the emotion code for, which is something that I do share on my online courses. So hopefully that's helped you a little bit with emotions and understanding them and understanding the importance of them. Okay, I'll do a video later on about the importance of observing them and not becoming them. But until then, see you soon. Bye for now.